A lot of dentists think is they go, well, these are shoppers. They're just going to come in, they're going to get the cleaning and then never come back. I feel like a lot of dentists miss the boat on this. You can have a $49 cleaning and still charge a lot for a crown or aligners or a filling or an implant.
I believe that dentists actually do want to grow, but we can't understand how the ad spend is actually turning into more productivity.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of My Dental Playbook. I'm your co-host, Gary Bird. Along with my friend, Dr. Blake Hamblin, we're going to be diving deep in how he's grown his practice 2x over the last 12 months, going from $200,000 in collections to almost $500,000 in collections every single month in just 12 months. And today we're going to be talking about how to compete in a saturated market. At the end of the show, we're going to be giving away how to boost your Google reviews. That's probably one of the bigger things that you can do to compete is boosting your Google reviews. And there's a very specific way that you have to do it and motivate your team to get those Google reviews. So make sure you check that out. The link right down below. This is a really good episode. Stay tuned. All right, we are back, and Dr. Blake got some fresh swag, and I'm going to put it on recording because he promised it. He said, I'm going to get one of those hats in black. That was a really cool hat. Okay, we're going to talk about how to stand out in a saturated market. And the reason this came up is someone posted in a Facebook group. They said, hey, I'm in Houston. They did this anonymously, so we don't know what practice it was, but they said, I'm in Houston and I can't get any new patients. And I went to my marketing company and they were like, bro, it's too many dentists there. We can't help you. Like you're just kind of spinning your wheels. And Dr. Blake and I both jumped in like, Dr. Blake's going to see 120, 130 new patients this month. So he's doing some things right. There's other people in that market that are seeing new patients. So there are winners and losers in saturated markets, like for sure. But we just created 7 things that you have to have. Okay. And these 7 things, we were talking through them. If you're in a saturated market, and you know if you're in a saturated market or not, you have to do these 7 things. Like you have to. And so we're going to work through these one by one. So let's first, you tackled this one, Dr. Blake, is your location really matters. And one of the things that I think that dentists get confused a lot of times about is that your rent is like marketing budget. Meaning if you are on a corner of a really busy intersection, you're going to get 10, 20, 30 new patients just from that high rent versus if you go up in a medical building, your rent's going to be way cheaper, but you're going to get 0 new patients from that. So can you walk through how you think about that? Because you got a pretty high visibility spot.
Yeah. So I've been in both situations. I've been on the 5th floor of an office building where we didn't have any visibility. And now we are off of a major interstate that gets a lot of visibility. And I've seen as you invest in marketing and you invest in actually driving patients in your practice, how some of that can be offset by, for us, it was changing the location. For others, it may just be optimizing the location. So if you find yourself on the corner of a stoplight and you don't have really awesome signage right in front of your building that draws people's attention to it, then you should do that. We just put Christmas lights up on the building. And the only reason I put Christmas lights up was because lights draw your attention to the building. And so I'm interested to see if over the next month or two, over November and December, do we get more patients coming through the door that just saw us as they were driving by?
Yeah, just to give the listeners an idea about this. So before you were getting literally when you were on the 5th floor, you were getting 0 new patients that were drive-bys. Also now you're getting you're ranging 10 to 20 a month. So that's a lot of new patients. Now you're paying more in rent though, right? Or mortgage, right? You're paying more, but you're getting back something for it. And so your location's a huge part of that. The other thing is we were just looking at this at your average production per first visit. So marketing patients are the lowest. Your highest are patient referrals. Why? Because they trust you more. But your drive-bys are in the middle. Why? Because there's some trust there. They're like, oh, I drive by here every day at work. They see you hundreds of times before they decide to come in. And so there's some trust there already. Like, I know this guy's been there for a year now or 2 years, whatever. And so there's a lot more trust there. So the first thing is your location really matters. And then also signs really matter. The other thing that you did, you have a big sign. Plus, you put up signs on your light pole. Whatever you're allowed to do, you need to do. And if you're not allowed to do anything, get a sandwich board and go put it on the sidewalk. And if someone comes in, if a Karen comes in and says, you're going to get a fine, just say, okay, how much is the fine? And just pay the pay the $100 a month fine for having the sign up. It's worth the marketing dollars.
For sure. Yeah, we actually did that. And I did not know that in Houston that you can't have those sandwich boards up on the street. They call them bandit signs. I don't know. You would think you're doing something really wild, but apparently it's illegal. And so we found out that we couldn't do it. And you and I had that discussion of like, well, would it make sense? Like, are you getting the return on it? Just pay the fine for every opportunity to get people through the door, whether that be with signage, with location, with banners, with the crazy men moving their arms, like get people's
I totally agreed. Okay, so that's number one is location. Number two is signs. If you want to get seen in a really saturated market and actually grow, number three, you have to lower the bar of entry. So right now, across America, everybody is marketing. And when you market, you have to give them a reason to come in. So right now you run a $49 cleaning exam and x-ray. And I know you did not always like that. Like you actually despise that. And I know a lot of doctors like hate that idea. Could you walk through like kind of how you used to think, how you think about it now, and where you're at with that process?
Sure. So I think in general, patients don't know what makes you different. And when you ask dentists what makes you different, they always say, well, we take great care of our patient, or we treat them like family, or we all have the same answer. And ultimately we should. Like we should all treat them like family, and we should all give them the best we possibly can. So patients don't really know how to differentiate you between other dental practices in the market outside of price. And maybe something else we'll talk about is Google reviews. But like price is a big way that people are able to discern quickly, do I want to go to this office or that office? And so if you can stand out simply by saying we're cheaper than the other guy, if you can stand out by simply being like, I'm cheaper than the other guy down the street, then you're going to get way more at bats than you would otherwise if you said, hey, my membership plan is my discount, or whatever other offices decide they want to try.
Yeah, exactly. And so now what a lot of dentists think is they go, well, these are shoppers, right? They're going to shop me and they're just going to come in, they're going to get the cleaning, and then they're just going to be like, never come back. And that does happen occasionally. But I really feel like this is true for every business. So I talk about this a lot, like to come and work with my company, I don't charge dentists to come and do the first meeting, figure out what the problem is, second meeting, build a whole proposal, build out the competition, look at other dental offices, Google reviews, marketing strategies, and then build that out with them. I don't charge them for that. And the reason why, no one would come and talk to me because all the other marketing companies do a free consultation. And so I know I have to keep the bar of entry low. And then, but we're not the cheapest marketing company in the world too. We charge more per office than most marketing companies because we're results driven, and we have to get the results that people want. And I feel like a lot of dentists miss the boat on this, that you can have a $49 cleaning and still charge a lot for a crown or aligners or a filling or an implant.
Yeah, and I think like shoppers, we're all shoppers. Like we're in Florida on a little family vacation, and we were walking around the downtown square, and there were businesses there, and we walked in and we were shoppers. And they got the opportunity to sell us something. And so the question has to become, would you like someone or no one? If you would like no one, then keep doing what you're doing. Keep saying, everyone's got to pay me for the consult, or everyone's got to pay me for my time. And that's fine, but you're just going to miss out on some of those opportunities where shoppers are going to walk through your door willing and ready to buy something. They just don't know what that something is yet.
Yeah, they don't know. So you have to educate them. And a lot of times I have dentists that DM me and they go, Gary, how much is marketing with you? And and I know it's like, it's kind of a dumb question if you understand marketing. It's like, well, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to build a new website? You want SEO? You want more new patients? How many more new patients? What market? How competitive? Are you offering services that nobody else offers? Or are you doing the same thing as everybody else? But the dentist doesn't know that. And the patient is the same thing. If their tooth hurts, how much is it to get out of pain or to replace the tooth? That's the only question they know how to ask because they just don't understand dentistry. And in all other businesses, this is called a buying signal. When someone's like, hey, how much is this shirt when you walk into the store? That means you're interested in the shirt and you want to buy it. So, okay, so let's move on to the next one. So, number 1, location. Number 2, signs. Number 3, lower the bar of entry. Number 4, Google reviews. I think I get asked on podcasts all the time, what is the number 1 thing that you should do for marketing? And it's like Google reviews, like hands down, get as many Google reviews as you can. What's your experience with getting Google reviews?
Yeah, it's so important. We have single-handedly learned that lesson by doing it. We went from, in about a year, we've gone from 500 some odd Google reviews to over 1,000. I think we're coming close to 1,200 Google reviews, and now our marketing is performing better than it used to. We get more patients than we used to, and every time they come in, the question that we ask is, "How did you hear about us?" Now you're on Google, and then the next thing that comes out of their mouth without us even asking was, and all of your Google reviews. And sometimes they even say, sometimes I thought they were fake, but then actually now I found out they're real because I experienced it. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I remember when we talked about this, because I remember when you were at 500 and there was other people in your market that were at 1,000 and 2,000, and you started ramping up your marketing budget. And I was like, hey, let's pull back a little bit, get more Google reviews, and then ratchet back up. Because what ends up happening is if you only have 10 Google reviews and everybody else has 1,000 in your market and you're marketing a ton, people are going to come, they're going to look at your website, they're going to look at your Google reviews, and then right next to you, they're like, oh, this guy has 1,000. And so then you're actually marketing for other people.
Yeah, we all have experience with this. Like we all shop on Amazon, right? And we go on Amazon to buy this brand, and then what's right next to it is something that's slightly cheaper and has about the same number of Google reviews or number of reviews, and you're like, yeah, I'll try that one. It saves me $10. Why wouldn't I try that? And the same thing's happening to dentists. Is they're coming on this office has 300 reviews and they're spending a lot on marketing, but the other office down the street has 800, and people are like, I'm going to give her the $800 or the 800 review one. Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah, exactly. There just doesn't, it's easy. So you end up marketing for other people. So get your Google reviews up. And then here's another little secret. Do not ever stop. Like, don't stop, because you've you're in this stage now where you figured out, okay, I need to get more Google reviews, and you got ahead of most people in your market. But what's everybody else doing now? They're all chasing you. And so if you stop, they'll frog hop you because they're all hungry now. And so you got to keep going. You got to keep the momentum going, keep getting Google reviews. And then the one other little secret is incentivize your team. Motivate your team. If you motivate your team, they'll just get you Google reviews. Don't motivate the patient. And if you want a free resource on that, we got that down below for you. Exactly how Dr. Blake does it and motivates his team to get Google reviews. And let's move on to number 5, availability. I think right now, when it comes to getting new patients through the door, availability is a competitive advantage. Meaning, if you can get me in today and tomorrow and do treatment today or tomorrow, that is huge.
Yeah. So yeah, speed to availability is super important when you're in a crowded market and there's a lot of options for people. When your answer to the question of how soon can we see you? So when a patient calls and they say, "Hey, I've got a broken tooth and it hurts," or whatever, when the answer to that is how soon can you be here? That really resonates with patients because they don't hear that from anyone else. They hear, well, we could see you tomorrow, or we can see you in a week, or it may even be for a cleaning. These patients haven't had a cleaning, and they haven't thought about a cleaning in 10 years. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, God dropped this nugget in their head that they need to get their teeth cleaned. And you spend on marketing, so they call you and you say, "Great, we can't wait to see you a month from now." And they're like, "I'm going to forget about this a month from now." Like, you've got to capture them today.
Yeah, you just had a conversation with a dentist about this recently, right? Like online, where they were like, I think I need to grow and I have all these problems, and they couldn't figure out how to get capacity. And you were like, yeah, just hire a hygienist, like get your hygienist working more, open up your hours a little bit.
I think they had a 5-out practice. There were maybe one or two doctors, but they had 2.5 hygienists, and they were booked out till May in hygiene. And I was like, why don't you make 2.5 hygienists, 3 hygienists? Like, just don't have a half a hygienist. Just grow. Just do it.
Yeah, sometimes it's just easy to get more availability, and you're going to grow because the faster. In business, they talk about this as being the flywheel, right? We often think of business as a funnel, like you get patients in, and that's true too. But there's a flywheel in business where you want your leads turning into new patients, turning into treatment, turning into referrals, and the faster you get the wheel spinning, the faster you grow. And if you're slowing that wheel down from spinning, you don't ever get off the ground, and that's what happens when you're putting patients too far out. And if you have same day appointments available, you now put yourself in a competitive advantage, even in really busy markets. Like you go into Phoenix or Florida or Utah or any of these markets, New York, you can separate yourself just by saying, hey, I can see you today if you call. Okay, let's move on. This is like thorn in my side. Answering your phones. You got to answer your phones.
Yeah, we can move on. Just like you can't get new patients if you don't pick up the phone. I think like answering the phone along with understanding how to communicate with patients is super important. In fact, I talked with a guy last night, and he was asking questions about that. I said, to get the most out of your marketing, you have to not only answer the phone, but you got to spend time with your front office working on how to answer the questions that you're already going to get. And if you do that, you're going to get a way better ROI than everyone else who wants to just abdicate that responsibility and just kind of forget about it. And then they want to gripe to the marketing company about the return they're getting when their close rate or schedule rate is less than 40%, 30%. Like, yeah, of course it's going to be bad.
And you're not going to, you just can't compete. It's too much of a drag on your business. And it almost doesn't matter what you spend on marketing at that point because the opportunity for lift there is so big. It's just like a black hole that's sucking money down the drain and nothing gets off the ground. So that one's pretty simple. Make sure you do that. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to win. And then lastly, and this one's really important to come from you, Dr. Blake, because it's easy for me to say it. And then people are like, yeah, of course the marketing guy is going to say spend money on marketing. But if you're in a competitive market and you're like, yeah, I'm going to spend $3,000 and I really want to rocket ship growth, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm the frugal guy in the group always. Like, I don't like to spend money, and I like honestly, I don't like what I currently spend on marketing. But like, and you do it for me, so that's okay. But like, I have learned that if you want to grow, you have to be committed to it. And so don't say you want to grow and then be like, I'm going to spend $2,000 on month. Like it's like getting on the treadmill and running for a minute and a half and saying that you worked out. Like, no, you didn't. And I'm not saying that you have to spend $30,000 on marketing, but I am saying like you got to figure out what it is in your market that is going to actually move the needle. What is actually going to get more eyeballs than what is currently happening in your ecosystem? And you can probably speak better than I can, but I would have to think that if you're spending less than $4,000 to $5,000 a month, you're probably not like you might as well not market.
Yeah, in most markets, yeah, there's exceptions, but yeah, you're 100% right. Like $3,000 to $4,000 isn't going to move the needle, or it's going to get you a couple patients. Especially if you're not. The reason we left this as last is like you got to do all these other things too, right? If you can't just spend your way out of it, it's not a spending issue. But if you're doing everything else and you're only spending $3,000 in a saturated market, you're not going to grow. And it's really, really important that it's kind of like this. If I go into the dental office and I say, I want a brand new smile, I want veneers, I know I need some implants, and I'm willing to spend like $2,000 or $3,000 on this, you're going to be like, okay, well, we can do a little bit of work for that, but that's not gonna get you to where you need to go the way you want to go, right? And marketing's the same way. It is an investment, and the way to think about it is from a percentage standpoint. So if you want really quick growth, you need to spend about 10% or maybe even a little bit more to grow. But what ends up happening is that percentage shrinks. So you were spending like 15% there for a little bit because you got a new building, you hired a bunch of new team, so you had to grow, but that shrunk net down to like 7% because you grew, you doubled. So because you doubled, your marketing budget shrunk back down to 7. Now you're expanding your marketing budget again, and guess what's going to happen again? It's kind of the same thing again.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this a while back, but there's a time to optimize and a time to maximize. And the beautiful thing about marketing is if you can commit to, I mean, in my experience with you guys, it took 1 month, but I would say you probably need to give a quarter to a company to like, yeah. But like at the end of the day, if you end up, so say you want to market and you're currently spending $3,000 and you listen to us and you're like, okay, I'm going to try this. You're going to double your marketing budget. You're going to spend $6,000. Do it for a quarter. And all you've done is you've spent $9,000 more than you otherwise would have. And it's probably not going to make your business fail if it doesn't work.
Well, and if it doesn't work too, it tells you that the strategy that you're currently doing isn't going to work for you for some reason. It might be you operationally, it might be the marketing, but that's your job to dig into and figure out, okay, if I double my marketing, then my marketing new patient should double, not total new patient, because your patient referrals aren't going to double till later. But that is actually a signal. We get people into our sales cycle all the time. People are like, man, I'm getting 40 new patients a month and I'm spending $2,000 on marketing. Can you guys do better? And it's like, I don't know if those 40 new patients are coming from marketing. Why don't you just go double your budget and see what happens and then come back and talk to us?
And what I would also say, and Trackable is a game changer when it comes to this. Like the thing that causes dentists not to want to spend more money is because they can't figure out where the money's going. And if they could understand it, they would do it. I really believe that. I believe that dentists actually do want to grow, but we can't understand how the ad spend is actually turning into more productivity or more patients, and we don't know the KPIs and metrics to really lean into. But Trackable puts all of that on one platform to where you can really say, like, this is my home. So for 3 months, I don't even know how much Trackable is, but like if you don't use SMC, make your marketing company back end through Trackable so that you can track it and hold them accountable, because it takes the guesswork out of everything.
Yep. I love that. Yeah. 100%. We won't work with somebody unless they're using Trackable. Like it's too hard to figure out what's working, what's not, what is it, the patient referrals, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a really good show, Dr. Blake. I appreciate you going through this. And I think this is something that everybody deals with. And if, as a kicker, as everybody knows, if you don't know, if you listen this far, that means you're a real one. We want to help you. We have a monthly mastermind. It's $299. The link's down below. You can join it, talk with Dr. Blake and I, figure out why you're not growing, and we'll help you improve it really quickly. Thanks so much for coming and watching us today. Dr. Blake, you have a good one.
Thanks, guys.